Good morning. How's everybody doing? Give everybody hey, how about this? We need some energy in here. Give three people a high five real quick. We made it. Three people, turn around. Yep. You want to know this guy, Jeremiah? He's the hype man from the pink suit. There we go. Now we got some energy up. Now we can get started. All right, let me get a feel for who's here. How many people here are founders of your organization? Ooh.
Everyone.
All right. How many people here are in a leadership role of some sort in your organization? Okay. Cool. So that's pretty much the whole room. Here's your quote of the day about leadership. If you think you're a leader and you look back and nobody's following, you're just out taking a walk. All right. Well, for real, though, we're all here for the same reason. We're here because we're in the growth game. That means that you have fought for every inch, you've scraped for every deal, you've defied all your doubters to get where you are. But let me ask you this. Are you playing to compete or are you playing to dominate? There's a fundamental difference here. Competition is about reaction. Domination is about intention. Now, true growth, exponential impact, and building a legacy that echoes through generations requires more than just participation. I'm not going to talk about handing out participation trophies today. It requires strategically, relentlessly, and unapologetically aiming for market leadership. I understand the landscape. I know the relentless pressure, the sleepless nights, the weight of the vision that's resting on your shoulders that nobody else can see. I get it. That's because you're doing more than building businesses. You guys are forging futures, not just for your family, but for your employees and their families and your communities. And that requires more than just effort. It requires an entirely different mindset. So what we're going to do over the next 30 minutes is we're going to uncover what I call the Domination Equation, which is based on three fundamental pillars that you as leadership are actually in control of. We're not going to talk just theory. We're going to talk about an actual playbook for those who refuse to settle for anything less than leadership in your arena. All right, we're limited on time today. I could go into this all day, but let's get right into it. We'll go pillar number one, personal excellence and unwavering accountability. The quote of the day about personal excellence. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Repeat that one. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. That means that it is one of those only things in your life that nobody can take from you. How hard you work on yourself. Now, who here likes to win? We got winners. I would imagine I've got a room of people that like to win. Yeah, I look at it a little bit different. I actually hate to lose more than I like to win. Any other toxic people here? No, just me? Oh, I know two. I know we had two. There we go. But that desire to win, that raw ambition, where does that actually translate into for you as a leader? It's about setting an impossibly high standard for yourself. It's about brutal self-assessment. It's about learning in the quiet hours and refusing to settle for being good enough. Because you all know that good enough is never good enough. When I think about this idea, I think of the champion athlete, right? This guy that he doesn't just train to go run the Thanksgiving Day 5K, right? He's training for the podium. He's training to win. He's training to be an Ironman. He lives, breathes, and bleeds ambition. And it's that raw internal drive that fuels his external success. Has anybody heard of Tim Grover? This guy, I knew I had one. This guy was the personal trainer for both Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And he wrote a couple books, one called Relentless, a follow-up book called Winning, where he talks about this idea of internal drive and discipline and how that correlates with all the effort that gets put in the hours that nobody sees. So what he said about both Michael and Kobe is that they weren't even the most naturally gifted athletes that he worked with, and they weren't even the best athletes that he worked with. He said the difference of them was this point, what he called it a 0.1% separator. And it was about the hours that they put in that nobody saw, the hours in the dark. It was the 1,000 free throws at 3 o'clock in the morning that nobody saw. And they didn't just do it once, they did it all the time. So by the time we saw them in the game, they were playing at this level and everybody else is down here because of all those hours that were stacked on top of each other. It was the compounding effect of 0.1%. Now, you might say, like, okay, well, that's great, but what does Michael Jordan have to do with me as a business owner? Here's the thing. Your business will only ever be as driven and disciplined as you are. That means that it matters in how disciplined you are and how you train your body and what you're feeding yourself and how much sleep you get. It matters in how you're training your mind, what you're reading, what you're listening to. It matters who you surround yourself with. Anybody have a loser or two in your inner circle that you haven't given the boot to yet? It matters. It matters. I lost my next thought. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Has anybody heard of Andy? Has anybody ever done the 75 Hard program? Yes, sir. I knew I still had one here. Besides this guy.
Your friend or something? Like he knows everything that you're saying?
Yeah, I knew I had one to answer the questions. All right, but it's a mental toughness and discipline program, and it was developed by a guy named Andy Frisella, who is the owner of First Form Nutrition. And part of this program requires a 45-minute outdoor workout every day for 75 days. Now, I'm from Colorado, if you know anything about Colorado, but it snows there for a good amount of months out of the year. So I've done this program during those months, meaning that I've done 75 outdoor workouts in a row while it's snowing. So I've been outside at 6 o'clock in the morning, blowing snow, negative temperatures, questioning my sanity, but still getting the workout done. Then I come back inside and I warm up. You know what becomes easy after that point? Everything else I do that day. Because I started my day with the hardest possible thing that I could imagine doing that day, and everything else in comparison was easy. You know who I didn't see outside? Any of my competitors. That way was empty down the street, and so was that way. That's the separator. And as they say, if you didn't get a picture, it didn't happen. All right, nothing silly. Personal accountability, here we go. Here's your quote of the day about accountability. Accountability feels like disrespect when you've never been held accountable. Accountability feels like disrespect when you've never been held accountable. That means that you will take accountability for your losses and you will absolutely celebrate and show your team's wins. What I mean by this is that when you lose, it's on you. It's not on the market, it's not on the economy, it's not on your competitors, it's not on being cheated. It's on you. You own it, you dissect it, you learn from it. You talk to your team about it from a place of humility and transparency, and then you move forward. Conversely, though, when you win, especially when you win big, you want to celebrate it. You want to show it off. And I don't mean show it off egotistically, but I do mean that you want to show it off in a way that signals. You want to signal to your market that you're an undeniable force. You want to signal to your team that all of their blood, sweat, and tears is worthwhile, that it's paying off, that it's going towards something. And you want to signal to your supporters and investors that their trust in you is well placed. When I think of this, and sticking with our sports analogies today, I think of the New England Patriots. That's why I have Tom Brady up here in their Super Bowl dynasty run, where they'd win the Super Bowl, they'd hoist the trophy, they would pop the champagne bottles, have the parade, but by the plane flight back home, they were already prepping, strategizing, preparing for the next season, for the next run. Enjoy the moment, celebrate it big, but it's not the top of the mountain. There's the next thing to prepare for. So it's being intentional about those periods in time. Now, the difference maker, the common denominator that I've seen amongst everybody that wins at the highest levels, and this is regardless of race, ethnicity, background, education, income, is that they all have a strong faith in whichever faith they're believers of. Strength, hope, courage, perseverance, clarity of purpose, overcoming seemingly impossible odds and obstacles all stem from this. It's the difference maker. I say this because in my personal journey, I've been clean and sober from all drugs and alcohol for the last 13 plus years. Thank you. But that means that 13 years ago, I wasn't exactly on a winning streak. Life was pretty rough at the time, if you will. To be fully transparent, I was in that rundown apartment, and I was on the floor, and I'm shaking and sweating, and I'm curled up in the fetal position, and I'm puking on myself, and I'm suicidal, but I can't even get the energy to get up off the ground to attempt to kill myself. And then we're going to fast forward 13 years to today, right now today, where I'm on this stage in front of all of you wonderful people, getting the opportunity to talk about how to win at the highest levels. That is not something that happened by my willpower alone. I did not pick myself up by my bootstraps to get from that apartment to this stage. It's the compounding effect of 0.1% growth continuously of my faith over the last 13 years. Now, why do I bring this up in a business conference, right? I bring this up because there's going to be a time in your business, if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen, probably multiple times, where your willpower alone will not be enough to overcome the problems that you're going to face. In those instances, you're going to want to have this in your toolbox. It's a necessity across the board. If you don't have it and a competitor does, they will be at an advantage every time. It's simple as that. All right, you guys still with me? Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, at the end of each one of these pillars, I want to do a quick question, but I just need one person to answer. I need you to do it in 60 seconds or less, because we're limited on time. You do that? All right, what is one significant failure? Did it turn off? There we go. What is one significant failure in your entrepreneurial journey that in hindsight became the turning point for your growth?
Running to you.
Yeah.
So I got my orders. They were executed. And once the orders were executed, at the time of billing, the client made me realize that, contractual obligations were neglected, so they had no obligation to pay. So I lost a lot of money there. And that made me realize that whatever I do, if I don't plan it well in advance, if I don't have the right paperwork, and if I don't execute it within the framework and scope, and add that one little extra, I will not make a difference. And that learning turned the pivot for me. And today I have more than 10 clients I can boast of who will stay with me forever.
I love it. That's great. Thank you. Awesome. Let's keep it going. Pillar number 2, this one might be my favorite. Building a culture of dominance. My team knows that I love to talk about building culture. Probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but guess what? You get to hear about it today. Quote of the day about culture. Your culture is not some fluffy HR perk. Repeat that. Your culture is not some fluffy HR perk. It is your most potent weapon in the domination game. This is how you out-innovate, out-execute, and outlast all of your competitors. Culture beats skill, eventually. That means that you can hire the brightest minds, you can hire the most skilled individuals, but without a culture that fosters collaboration, a pursuit of excellence, and a winning mentality, that raw skill is eventually going to dry up and go away. It's going to atrophy. You're going to be left with a team of egocentric individuals and not a unified dominant force. That's how important culture is. Now, when I think of an example of this in our sports analogies, in America we have the New York Yankees or the LA Lakers. Will be a couple teams that over the course of time have spent hundreds of millions of dollars to put together these championship caliber all-star teams, only to get beat out in the playoffs by a lesser skilled team that had better camaraderie and better culture. So it matters in those levels. Now, on a different level, I think of just being here, the city of Dubai. This place isn't just a city, it's a vision. They had a deliberate intent to lead on a global scale, and that shaped everything. But to do that, though, you needed a culture that wasn't just aligned, but exceptional. meaning that there was a collective will here to defy the perceived limits of what was possible. This place didn't just happen by accident. It was sculpted this way. So what goes into the dominant culture? I got 4 things on this list. Number 1, innovation isn't just encouraged, it's expected. This means that you need to be open to having your team bring you innovative ideas without having the fear of judgment or ridicule. Now, we need to remember, though, that not all ideas are good ideas. Right, Jeremiah? But somewhere in there, there's going to be golden nuggets, and you're going to want those to be able to transform your company when they come up. Number 2, feedback is a gift, not a threat. This is an ego check moment. If you are not somebody that can handle getting feedback from your team, I need you to do 2 things. Number 1, go get a therapist. Number 2, step down from leadership because you're not ready. That's how important getting feedback is. You need to be open to it. Number 3, every team member feels empowered to challenge the norms constructively. We all know the person that wants to do it destructively, and that person has to go. But we want the person that will challenge them constructively, both inside and outside of your organization. Meaning that people that see the way that things have always been done and can see how they can break the mold, how they can turn something upside down, fill a void, all of those things, they need to be able to feel empowered to find those flaws in the system. How we do a lot of these is we talk about them in weekly staff meetings where these come up. I do monthly one-on-one supervision sessions with our people where these come up, and yearly reviews. So these things have to be talked about intentionally to be able to put an eye on them so that you know that you're always constantly improving. And number 4 on the list, which is actually the most important, there is a collective drive to always be of service. This means that whatever the public sees and experiences from us is always a servant heart-oriented approach. We're always looking to provide more value to the marketplace than we're seeking to get back. Right? So if people see us being of service, that's what we want to be known for, is being of service. All right. Question number 2. Here we go. This one can be for everybody. Just shout out the word as it comes to you. Don't overthink it. What is one word that describes the culture that you need to be able to achieve market domination? Cohesive, relentless. Value? Value? What was that?
Drive.
Yeah, I like that. Consistency. I like that. That's a good one. Focus. Trust. Culture. Like it. Integrity. There we go. I love that one. That's one of our values. Obsession. There we go. I like that. There we go. This is fun. What was that? Condicity? Authenticity. I love it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's on there too. Our core value list is getting named off up here. I love it. All right. Sweet. That was fun. That's good. Yeah. And so if you want to think of those words, it's good to make a list of those and then focus on them and see what ones are actually happening within your organization. That's the second half of this kind of practice of it. All right, pillar number 3. This one is definitely my favorite. Said the other ones were, but this one's definitely my favorite. Disrupt or be disrupted. Embracing the hater and redefining the game. True domination is not about incremental improvements. It's about bold, decisive moves that rock the boat, that disrupt established systems and force the entire market to play on your terms. You create the rules because you created an entirely new game. Think about the companies that have done this, that didn't just come in and try and be part of the market. They came in and they filled it with an overwhelming force. They filled a void, or they created an entirely new market. Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Walmart, Coca-Cola. What they didn't come in and say, hey guys, can we maybe play too? Can we get a little piece of the pie? No, they came in and they said, this is our pie now. And if you want a piece, you can pay us for it. That's overwhelming force. That's market domination. Now, for us, we've been in business for 5 years. So we're just a very young organization right now. But we started in the spring of 2020. What happened in spring of 2020? COVID. What did the market do during COVID? It contracted. Everybody hunkered down. They went inside. They closed their doors. Businesses went under. What did we do? We expanded. We went out into the marketplace. We filled the void with services and resources that weren't being made available anywhere else. Now, it took a lot of heat and a lot of arrows for that at the time. But guess what? A year later, when the market came back online, where were we at? Miles down the road. We were miles ahead of everybody else that was just starting out because they took a year off. Now, I say that to tell you this. In the course of your life, you're going to get an opportunity. Maybe two if you're really blessed. To fully go all in and bet on yourself. But to do that is going to require that you have a willingness to walk into the lion's den and punch the lion in the mouth. You better have the balls to take the swing. Ladies, you too, you better have the balls to take the swing. Because otherwise you're going to end up at 90 years old on your deathbed and you're going to be riddled with the regret of letting that opportunity pass you by. Because you didn't have the courage to step up and do it. That's what it took for us in 2020. That's what it felt like for me. That's what it still feels like today. I kind of carry that resentment of it a little bit to a point. I don't know if it's healthy or not, but it drives. All right, that's my soapbox for the day. But let's go on. Let's talk about haters. Anybody have haters? Yeah, you got haters. Yep. If you don't, you should get some, because it's a sign that you're on the right path. You're doing something right if people are hating on you, right? If you're not doing anything and people aren't paying attention, then you don't have them, and then it means you're not really going anywhere. So you don't want to wish them negativity. You don't want to put out negativity. You don't want them to lose, because if you focus on losing, law of attraction is whatever you focus on, you're going to get back. If you focus on losers and losing and haters, you're going to get that back. You just need to understand, though, that having haters is just part of the process. It's just a part that shows that you have a healthy thing going on. It shows that it's more of like a validation or a confirmation of your power, a confirmation of your disruptive force, right? It's showing that you're making a true disruption in the marketplace when somebody is pushing against you. But you do need to remember, though, that in all of this, somebody is always watching. Somebody's always watching. They're waiting for the I told you so moment. They're waiting for you to lose. They're waiting for you to slip up. But you don't need to let that paralyze you with fear. Instead, it should be energy that's used to drive you forward. Right? It's fueling your forward momentum so that you become the company that's forcing others to react, not the one that's doing the reacting. This is how you proactively manage the pushback that comes with being a category leader. You don't ask for permission to lead. You simply lead. Does anybody feel like, it could be a whole talk on itself. Does anybody feel like you still need permission to lead? No? Yes? Somebody said yes? No? Good. Yeah? Well, here, if you do, here you go. You have permission. You have permission to do and to be and to build and to become everything that you were destined to be. You don't need to hear me say it. You already know. You just have to step into it. That's how this works. All right. Oh, we already talked about haters. All right. One more question. I need one person to answer this one too. What is one disruptive move that you're committed to making this week? Not an incremental improvement, but a true market disruption. Nobody wants to. There we go. I knew somebody would commit to one.
I've led an agency in Hyderabad, in India, for the last decade. And before I leave from Dubai, I'm going to get my first client. And I'm going to disrupt that and become the market leader in the next 1 year or so.
I love it. There we go. I'll follow up with you in a week. We'll see if you did it. I love that. There we go. All right, let's sure I'm coming up on time, so let's land this plane. Today we have uncovered the whole domination equation and the three fundamental pillars: personal excellence and accountability, building a culture of dominance, and market disruption. Now there's a choice, and the choice is yours. Compete or dominate. Either way, the growth game is waiting, and it is demanding, it is relentless. But the opportunity to write your name, not just in the annals of business, but as true category kings and queens, that is the prize. To create something that you may never even see the whole fruition of, but that your great-grandchildren can carry on for generations. So go out there, challenge the status quo, and build the future that you intend to dominate. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
You make me work out this morning. I like it because I woke up 5:30, so I didn't do nothing. So here I'm gonna run.
3 times she discounted me, but that's very understandable. Thank you very much for the inspiring. My name is Hatim Shihab. I am into organizational transformation and leadership development. So many of the things, I don't know which question I must ask. There are so many inspiring things, but I think it's a major mindset shift in terms of compete and in case of dominate. Generally, founders, they're fixated with dominance rather than, they're very much fixated with competing rather than dominance. And rewriting the rules as you rightly put it, I think this is really the challenge. My question to you, and I'm quoting Somerset Maugham, when somebody asks you for criticism, for feedback, actually he's asking for praise. How do we shift the mindset of being more of a founder's reflection mindset rather than being just, very fixated with the things that we have accumulated over the many years in terms of our experience, in terms of our, competencies, in terms of our skills and all that? Because you said culture beats skills. And that's really, really very inspiring statement. So how would you advise the leaders to make that mindset shift of being more reflective, receptive to feedback, rather than waiting for the praise? Thank you.
I think you have to be intentional about asking for it. So you have to be intentional about saying like, okay, I understand like a lot of people do want to start with that to give you the praise and the adoration and all of those things. But you have to intentionally, and most of the times, tell people, no, I don't want to hear that. I need to hear what the constructive criticism is. And so you just have to actually call people out on it, because a lot of times they still, even in that, they won't want to. But if you do it enough times, and it's the consistency, they just need to hear it from you enough times to be able to do it and then feel comfortable with it. And it's like anything else, and it comes from who you are as a person with them. If you're open and transparent and authentic, and you're somebody that they can come to anyway, just as another person, without the role of the founder, without the role of the CEO or leader or any of those things, that they feel comfortable enough just communicating to. And then when you have that relationship built, it becomes a lot easier to get the feedback. So it's just time and relationship building is the biggest thing with your team.
It's very inspiring to hear from your speech. Very nice, and it's building up the founders who are here. My name is Charles Vincent. I'm the founder of CJ Investment, and I do advise business owners as well to how to market their businesses and how to make more profits. And you talked about the market dominating program, which is very, very, very important for any business to compete with other companies on the stage. Now, I would like to ask you, what stages do you follow to make the market dominating position for you there must be some stages that one must follow, so that to make it a complete package for you to dominate the whole market. Thank you.
That's a good question. I think it really comes. I think that's just a thing that happens over time, but it starts from where you are. It's about being focused where you are to start, right? So if you can't do it, like it's the same theory of if you can't take care of your own house, you can't help your neighbor, right? So you start where you are, expand within your community. As soon as you can do that, building the relationships there, then you expand out more. So it's just the stages of the growth of doing the same process repetitively over time. But if you have to really narrow down the details of how you did it the first time, right? So how you do one thing is how you do everything. So how you do the first, how you take over that one community and make a massive impact in that one community, then you move on to the next. I think the other aspect of this though is, I think like a lot of times the domination thing, there's a whole other perspective of it. It's yes, you want to be the main influence of the market, but you need everybody else still too, right? So there's still, you need to have the relationships built with the people that are your competitors to be able to dominate that market. So if you're competing with somebody, you're both should end up winning to a certain level, right? So you can go back and forth winning, and the end result is that the customers or clients or whoever you're serving are the ones that benefit, right? They benefit from your competition when you are building something and dominating through the stages and you're growing at the same level they are. And so it depends on the level that you're competing at. So if you're with people in your local community, it's one thing. Then state level or national level is another thing, and then international level is a whole other ballgame. So there'd be different realms of it at that point. If that kind of answers your question.
Hello, it was so inspiring listening you from that 13 years experience you have shared to us. I'm a background from a very creative people. When I want to ask you one question, that if I want to keep my team creative and still keep the dominating leadership, how can I didn't overpower them to being a creative and still a dominating leadership?
Can you clarify that a little, like one more time? I don't know if I got that whole question.
Okay, so I came from the background which is providing a creative learning solutions for the market. Okay,
Yeah.
So I want my team to be very creative and come up with a lot of ideas, but I also like the way you have demonstrated the dominative leadership. But how can I keep my team motivated, not overpowered, not bonding them or not pressing their creativity, and still be a dominative and fast leadership?
Is your team fully bought into the vision of your company?
Sorry?
Is your team fully bought into the vision of what you want the company to be?
Yes.
Yeah. So because if they're bought in fully and they understand where you're going and where you want to go, then it should be easy for them to want to do that themselves. If they understand they're being part of something that's building bigger, then you can push them.
Okay.
Right? You can, at that point, because they're already motivated to, then it's not being a boss, because you're not forcing them to do it if they already want to. So you're just challenging them to get more and more out of it. But that's where the feedback comes in, because you got to find out where people's limit is.
Yeah. So it will be more challenging always and more collaboratively way.
Yeah,
Okay.
and ultimately more rewarding, because then they're fulfilled.
Okay.
So you want to find out so you need to find out also what fulfills them. like what fills up their tank. So like what their, have you heard of love languages in relationships? There's one for businesses too. So look into that, because you'll find out what your employees' love language is when
Yes.
it comes to that, and what motivates them. Do they need gifts, or do they just need you to tell them that it was a good job?
So it should be encouraging. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you for everything you've shared so far. My question for you is, one of the slides that you had was that when you're trying to dominate, you should aim to almost create a new game and invite other people to play that game with you. My question is, when you are creating this new game, of course, a big part of this is vision. And when you're trying to create a new space to dominate the market, are you trying to define a new vision based on what's already happened in the marketplace? Or are you almost literally wiping the slate clean and starting from a blank canvas to try and envision the kind of marketplace you'd like to create so that you can dominate that new game that nobody else has thought of? What is your process for creating that space?
That's a good question. So we're in the addiction treatment space. We do substance abuse treatment. And the way that it took off so fast is that we do it in a way where people are having treatment while they're still living their normal lives. So we're not sending people like away to a treatment center to get treatment for it. We're walking with them in their just everyday lives while we're pursuing that. And we're doing it in a way that I didn't see being done anywhere else. I saw this as a method that works on a massive scale to be able to serve a lot of people in a short amount of time. Especially when I started in COVID, there was nothing. So I needed a way to be able to help a lot of people. So I guess in the way that we did it, there was a massive demand. So there was this huge gap in the market that just wasn't being taken care of. And I was working in the industry and I was talking to people about it, and they said, yeah, that's just the way it is. And so people told me that there was a problem. I saw the problem, and then it was just, this is going to take a lot of work to do this, to fill this gap, but that's what we stepped into. So it was creating something new within a space, but it was filling a gap. So that's all we've done, is really fill the gaps in that system in a way that's done better. So we're still able to collaborate with other organizations that are in the same space, because they're providing services that we're not providing. So if people are higher needs and whatnot, we can send them to wherever they need to go. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to start something from scratch, well, you'd also, I mean, the thing that I would think is that you need to know is that there's a demand for it. Because you can have a great vision, but if nobody wants it, then it's not going anywhere. So as long as if people are telling you they want it, if you can see that it's something that's going to change everything, by all means, yeah. You know, the stuff that's happening with AI right now just blows my mind. So I didn't see that coming.
That's a nice entree to my question.
Yeah.
I'm a tech CEO with a series of nice wins.
Yeah.
Most recently founded a company using AI to drive interaction with Albert Einstein or Leonardo da Vinci. Take a course on painting from Da Vinci in an immersive 3D world. It's kind of a fun deal. My question for you is, what is the role of AI in terms of how founders in this room can utilize AI to drive dominance in their market?
Man, those are good questions. I go back and forth with AI because we use it a lot too. There's all kinds of things coming out in the therapy world to use AI for, and just documentation and all kinds of stuff. I think you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice in the human element of things. The reason that we haven't gone so far down that route is because what the industry that we're in requires human-to-human interaction. So we can use it as a tool, but it's not going to be something that takes over a marketplace. I think when it comes to bigger industries and whatnot, it's the question of, are you trying to build something that serves the industry that you're in and people, or are you just trying to build the industry and make a million widgets or whatever it is? And so I think it's just because I know businesses that have done both, that have gone both ways, that are still trying to keep the human piece of it. It just costs more money, and so they're sacrificing the bottom line for it. But I think it just comes down to the personal decision of whether you want to go that route or not. But I think realistically, if you're not using it in some form, you're going to get left behind. And so, I mean, it comes down to that. And I think companies that adapt to it, that are going to be able to, that are going to be able to create new industries within the industry or within the company, new roles within the company, where certain people are still in charge of things. I think that's going to be the next piece of it, is having a human element that's in charge of creating more and having that creative piece. But
Yeah.
it's happening so fast.
If you can find great people that can figure out how to prompt engineer their agents, their bots, etc., you can make them very lifelike, human interface, etc. But I like the concept of a hybrid model that you mentioned.
Yeah.
A week back, I wrote an article on LinkedIn because a lot of this question is coming. Will AI take away the jobs? You know, India has the maximum software engineers. So what I'm saying is human intelligence, HI, plus AI can be tenfold stronger.
Yeah.
So don't fear AI.
Oh, yeah.
Understand, learn how to leverage it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah. As soon as, whoever figures out how to leverage
There
it.
is an article on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You can.
I have to gently push you because we're running out of time. So if you have something to say, please go on.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Brian.